Y'all, if we pack it with onions, it's gotta be good, right? Oh gosh, yeah. Start with onions, chicken broth, and a little bit of cooking wine today, friends. What we're going to do is chop up these onions. We've got about 4 of them, and you can use white, yellow, whatever it is you prefer. We're going to be making a wonderful, warm holiday soup today, okay? All you're going to do is chop these up, and we're not going to chop them real fine. We're just going to make sure that we got a lot of these rings. Make sure to separate them, okay? Because the last thing we want is a whole bunch of chunks. We're going to be sauteing them in our big old iron skillet. I love this thing so much. I used to be a little bit afraid of using iron skillets, but now it's gotten to the point where I'm really getting on board with it. It's already well seasoned, but we're going to go ahead and add a stick of butter as well as just a little hose of olive oil, okay? Then we're going to add that entire bowl of onions in here and saute them up real nice, okay? Now make sure before you get going with the heat that you got all of the onion out of the bowl. I hate to waste food. I feel like it's almost a sin, so please make sure that you got all that in there. Now, before we add it to the heat, just in case this wasn't enough for just dragon breath, we're going to put just a little bit of minced garlic in here, too. Going to add 4 tablespoons of that just to make sure we got plenty of aromatic awesome up in here. Wonderful. Give that a little bit of a stir to make sure that all of the ingredients get really well blended, okay? Great. I'm always real careful about the minced garlic, especially if you get a mouthful of that. That's going to be real potent, okay? Next up, we're going to add just a little bit of granulated sugar, just a touch for the caramelization. It'll help while you're sauteing your onions just to get a real nice finish on them, that's all. Now, if you're sugar sensitive, diabetic, any of those kind of things, I would rethink adding the sugar. We're doing it for just a little bit of cooking finesse, that's all there is to it. Now, once those get real nice and soft and brown, you're going to take those out of your skillet and put them into your soup pot, okay? Now, this one's kind of medium size because we're not making a gigantic batch today, but if you prefer to go just crazy town, by all means, be my guest. We're going to get that out of the skillet into our cooking pot and get ready to add just a little bit more flavor to it before we get going with the soup making, okay? So with this, again, please be careful. Make sure you get every little drop, every morsel of onion out of there because I hate to waste food. Now, once we get that done, I'm going to move this skillet to the side. I'm not going to wash it. I learned that lesson the hard way. I hate to have to re-season this beauty. So all you're going to do now is get this out of the way so we can focus more on our soup. Next up is going to be an entire container of chicken broth. That's 32 ounces. Pour that right over the top, okay? We use a lot of broth and stock in a lot of our cooking, but for soup, it's crucial. We got to have the good stuff for that. Next up, a little bit of cooking wine. Now, for those of y'all out there that may not drink, I want you to know that this is just for flavor. As it boils, it's going to get all the alcohol out of it. It's just there to make sure it tastes great. Next up, a little bit of parsley. Just sprinkle that over the top. Beautiful. Little paprika, never hurt nobody. Put some of that. It ain't just for deviled eggs, even though I do love a deviled egg. And then just a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. This is going to put a little kick in it just to make sure that we've got some flavoring going into it, all right? Beautiful. Now, whenever we get done with the pepper, you got to have a little salt because they seem to go hand in hand. Go ahead and put a little of that in there. I love grinding it fresh. Now, you can put it in with the Morton's out of the can if you want. Totally up to you. And then, of course, what recipe isn't better with a little bit of bacon? Just a handful of bacon bits in there just to make sure it all comes together beautifully. Give that a stir before we put it on the eye. We're going to let that simmer for about an hour. Then whenever it comes off the eye, it's going to be ready to eat, friends. 'Tis the season for soup, and I'm here for it. There we go. Look at that, how gorgeous. We're going to give it a stir with our ladle and dish it up because we're ready to eat. This is perfect for right out of the snow, the rain, any kind of cold weather. Ooh, I love it. Now, if you want to put something nice on the top, like maybe a cheese toast or something like that. I've seen it served like that in a couple of fancy restaurants I've been to. That's a wonderful way to go. But today, we're not going to go that fancy. We're just going to put more cheese on top because, gosh, yes, why in the world not? We're going to leave it to melt for about maybe 5 minutes, give it a good stir, and away we go. Oh, my goodness, that'll warm you from the inside out. Yes, please.